Hello and welcome to my channel, Getting a Grip. I'm 27, living in Australia, and I'm documenting my financial journey. This is part 2 of a 3-part series on my channel about my budget breakdown as it currently stands. I'm using the program You Need a Budget, or YNAB for short, and in this video I will be going over in more detail, I guess, my fun categories and talking through some of my strategy for those. If you want to find out a bit more about me, I did post a video on my channel, which I'll pop a link in the description below. Also, if you want to check out part 1, I cover my core expenses and my strategy for getting 1 month ahead, which is my primary goal at the moment. So please enjoy. Today we are going to be looking over my have some fun categories and I guess my splurge categories. As you may be aware, if you watched my video About Me video, you will know that I'm in a bit of a tight spot. However, one of my goals is to have these sinking funds going along the way so that when I do get to a point where I'm a month ahead and I can put extra into these areas, that I will be encouraged to do so because I will have a little bit sitting there. So in the previous video, I went over what I consider to be my core expenses that I will be focusing on to get a month ahead. But I recognise that also I don't have to give up all the fun in my life, and there are certain things that I want to build up to that I can cut back on and still be well within my means while I am looking to get ahead in my budget and my financial security. So that's what I want to go over in this video. So I am going to start with this category here, have some fun. This has a lot in it, and I did try to pare it down as much as possible. I wanted to separate it out as much as I could so that I could be actively saving towards all of these things, because I think in the past what I've tended to do is say, oh, $250 will be enough, and then not really use it on what I had hoped to use it on, and maybe going out of the bounds of the individual targets that I had set. So basically, I'll just summarize what's in this category and go from there. So I'm probably going to giggle a lot as well in this section, so bear with me. Also, there might be some things that are TMI, so I do apologise for that as well in advance. So basically, tickets and entry, I do love live music, as I'm sure everyone does, and also going to art galleries and events and things like that. So putting away money to be able to, I guess, do that on a whim if I want to, or when ticket sales come out, that I'm not kind of scrambling for money. This travel and trips is basically a bigger sinking fund to cover things like accommodation and food and travel and transport and all of those types of things. I did previously have it budgeted out line by line, but I really didn't feel like I needed to. I felt like I could just roll it into one because some of those things are interchangeable. You know, I had an alcohol category and a food category, and really they could just be one. So that's what I've done for now. I'll separate it out if I need to, but I think for now, it's okay. This one here is for partying. So that includes, I guess, things like going out to nightclubs and going dancing and having cocktails. I've kept it separate to my other budget because things like house parties and impromptu things, I don't know what I'd need it for, and ultimately it's a bit of a throwaway category, and anything that's extra I'll move somewhere else. But I thought I'd have this for now, just so that if I did get to the point where I got invited somewhere, or there was an event coming up, or a nightclub, or my friends spontaneously wanted to do something, that I would do that. I love going dancing, so I will put money aside for this. Next, I have alcohol, $50 needed this month. I've put this on here. I don't really drink alcohol unless I'm around other people or we're going out. I definitely don't have alcohol in my house. It's just not something that I do, but I guess when I do purchase it, I like to go in for a bottle or I guess treat myself. So this again is probably overestimating what I'll need. And with all of these budgets, once they get to a certain point, which is not determined yet, I will put a cap on them. So we will see how that all goes. So this next section here, and I mean, honestly, you guys, I could have hidden this category, but I thought I better keep it in, otherwise it might not make sense if it does pop up at a later time. So this is for things like my sexual health and well-being. Me and my partner do enjoy, I guess, perusing things like Love Honey and getting experimentals. So really this is just a sinking fund to, I guess, prop up that area of my life. Obviously not a priority. We're doing okay, and I'm doing okay also, but the sales do come up, and let me tell you, some of that stuff is so expensive. So also rolled into this is things like lingerie and nice underwear for myself. So I don't know if I'll keep this, but it's here for now. Again, like I said in my previous video, I really just dumped out everything in my brain that I could think of into YNAB, and we will learn as we go. The next is vinyls. I have a record player. I love getting a vinyl copy of my favourite albums. There is something about the nostalgia. I'm a big CD collector as well. I've had to pare that down since I moved out of home, but I really have been enjoying the vinyls. I want to actively save for this so that when vinyl drops do come, I don't have to ask for it for my birthday or anything like that. I can really just get it, especially the limited edition ones. They're so beautiful. Next we have shoes and clothing. Now I debated whether or not this was a core expense like I talked about in my last video, but ultimately I very rarely buy clothing, maybe once or twice a year, and the same with shoes. So I really just wanted to sync this. I do want to get out of fast fashion, not that I do purchase that a lot, but I don't want there to be a constraint on buying a really nice quality, well-made piece so that I can offset the impact of fast fashion and buy pieces that will last. So that's what they're doing in this category. Next I have jewelry. I don't wear a lot of jewelry. I've been wearing the same 2 rings, pair of earrings, necklace and a watch for the last 5 years, but I guess I do want to be putting money aside so that if I do see something really beautiful, that I can treat myself to it or have it go towards something else. Now, tattoos is probably my most have fun area that I have. I love my tattoos. I have quite a lot. They're not very visible though, so it does surprise people when I tell them this. I want to actively save up for tattoos. I think when the time comes and I feel inspired, or I'm in the city where there's tattoo artists around, I will scrimp and save and pinch from anywhere to make sure that I get it done if that's what I want to do that day or that weekend. Now I actively want to budget for this so that I can feel less guilty when I do eventually go and get them. And I can plan out bigger pieces or bigger days or bigger sessions rather than going through the process and the travel just for, I guess, like a small $150 tattoo. So I do want to make those sessions worth it, especially with some of the amazing artists out there. They take so long to get booked into and they might have a cancellation, and they are expensive because they're so good. So this is probably, if I had to pick a priority out of all of these things, this would be it. But I just recently got a tattoo, so my kind of craving is satisfied for a little while. But yeah, this is probably top of my list. Next we have stationery. I do love a journal from time to time. I also classify this into things like planning tools. I do like to dabble in Procreate, and so buying brush packs and things like that will come under here. I recently just bought a, I guess, personal life performance management tool. So that was really cool. I like the look of it, and I think it'll be really helpful, even in conjunction with this program, YNAB, to try and get things in order and be really reflective about where I'm at and where I want to go. Next, we have art and framing. So I love art. I'm a creative person, and I have been following so many artists where they sell their original artworks, and they're always gone so quickly. And the ones that do hang around are expensive, things like $450, $500, and I can never justify buying those things, although I would love to have some original artworks. So basically my goal for this is to save this up so that if there is an original artwork that I love, one day I can buy it. The other thing is the framing portion. So like I mentioned in my last video, I do cross stitch. I'm an avid cross stitcher. It takes me about a year and a half to finish one piece of work. And when I do finish that piece of work, I do get them professionally framed. They take a lot of time and effort and love, and they deserve to be not left rolled up in a box somewhere, never to be seen again. So I've gone through this process with one of my pieces before, and it's beautiful. So it's totally worth the investment. I also did a piece recently for my mum for her 60th birthday, so hoping to get that framed as well for her. It's I guess a piece that she picked out, and then I worked on it for 18 months. So it's a labour of love. Anyway, enough about that. Next section we have is gifts. So this is just a sinking fund for gifts. Family, friends, co-workers, all that kind of stuff. I don't have a set amount I want to get to. I used to be a big gift splurger on other people, but that really reined in. I guess as people got older, as I got older, I realised that you don't have to buy everyone and their dog a gift for Christmas, and that it's probably more investing or spending that money on the people that you really love and care about. And so I've definitely pared back on gifting on others, but that's probably also because of my budget restraints. So I do want to look at building this up so that I can do those things. Yeah, so that is it for my have some fun category. It's not priority number 1, it's probably priority number 2 after I get a month ahead. But basically these are all sinking funds. And so if in any given month I can't fulfill them or I can't get to them, then that's fine. I will just do what I can and move it into the next month. And then hopefully at the end of the year or at the end of a period of time, I can have a nice little kitty put away for these things. The next thing, which I guess kind of falls into the same category but kind of doesn't, is things for my house. So all of my furniture and all of my stuff has been gathered over the years, including my couch, my beds, my chest of drawers and all that kind of stuff, and they have served me well, but they are getting to the point where they are falling apart. Now, tables and things, dining chairs, I've bought them all off Facebook Marketplace, and they're all doing fine, but really this furniture fund is focused on a new couch. I've never bought a couch before, and the cost of them actually blow my mind. So I really want to work towards getting this. It is not essential. My couch currently works fine for sitting on. It's actually really comfortable, but it does squeak from time to time. So I do want to work towards purchasing some new furniture. Obviously it's not the primary thing at the moment, but I do think if I contribute to it over time, we will get closer to that. The next budget here is probably more useful in my kind of month to month, and that's household items. Now, I don't buy a lot of stuff in my house. I'm pretty well serviced. Like I said, I've built up my stuff over years and years of living alone and living with housemates. So I really have everything that I need. But I guess encompassing in this is working towards things like flatware, dinnerware, a new pot or a pan or a cooking utensil that I want, but also things like I don't have a full-length mirror in my house. Or, you know, I do like candles from time to time. I did have a bad experience with candles once, and that put me off for many, many years, but I've just recently kind of dipped my toe back into soy-based candles only. And so things like that where I can build up and then treat myself from time to time, and it is also for my house. The other thing is plants. Now, I, like everyone else, went pretty plant crazy during the pandemic. when we were all from home and we had all the time in the world to put aside and look at all their leaves and make sure that they were doing okay. And it did get a bit out of control. Now, I did do a bit of a plant purge recently, where I was giving away cuttings and really just rehoming some of this stuff when we got back to working in the office, because I just found that I couldn't put as much time into them as I wanted to, which sounds really bad. But I do want to kind of build this up very small and slowly. Things like repotting, nice pots for them, for the plants that I do have, but also looking into the future and buying kind of bigger, more established plants. I have a lot of seedlings and small plants that are still early in their life, but there is something about seeing a nice mature plant that is really beautiful. So this is a sinking fund. We'll see what comes from it. So this next section is where I'm going to track specific things. So up here we have the gifts category in my Have Some Fun, which is just a sinking fund. And these are specific gifts that I'm saving for particular people. So I do have particular targets towards them and timelines. And so that's why they're in their own section. My partner has been looking at getting some jewelry, getting a ring. So he sized himself and he's been looking online. And so I'm hoping to have this funded by Christmas this year so that I can give him that gift. And that's about $260. So that would be really lovely for him. And it's not really something that he would ever commit to buying himself, even though he really wants it. And the next thing here is he has also really wanted a coffee machine like mine, which is like a Breville, I don't know, it grinds the coffee and you make the coffee at home. He, again, doesn't put time aside to really look into that or save for it. He's got a lot of other commitments. And so this is a goal for, let's have a look here. $50 a month, and hoping that by Christmas next year, or his birthday next year, which is in November, which is close enough, I can either buy him that coffee machine or put money towards it whenever he does decide to buy it. So I don't know if you can tell, but my love language is gift giving, apparently. So yeah, so that's this will be a section just for particular things that I'm saving for particular people. Yeah. So again, not core, but also have some fun, but also not long-term savings. So that's why it's in this video. Next thing I have is travel and trips. Now, I did have the travel and trips section here where my sinking funds are going, and that is really just for, I guess, my core travel and trip expenses, my accommodation, my food, my drink, my travel. These ones here are particular things that I have coming up where I have decided that I want to put extra money aside. So we are going to see Kendrick Lamar in Melbourne in December this year, and that's turned into, I guess, like a whole visit weekend with some other friends and things like that. So I've decided I want to put an extra $200 aside of just like free fun spending money. That is outside of our accommodation, which is already looked after. The tickets have already been bought. So I really just don't want to have limitations and make the most of this, because we have both wanted to see Kendrick for such a long time, and it's finally come around. So we're super excited, and we'll probably, all budgets will go out the window. So I'm trying to prepare for it as best I can. The other thing coming up is actually a weekend away again with my partner. It is his birthday in November, and we have kind of rolled an extra few days into my dad's birthday weekend. So we're already going to the city to a concert with my dad. It's George Thorogood and the Destroyers, if you know Bad to the Bone. So that's a treat for my dad, and we thought while we were in that area or that part of the country, we would look at booking, I guess, a couple of days for ourselves in the woods and in nature, because he really loves that. So that is coming up. Again, extra money put aside just to not have to worry about it. If I get there, I get there. If I don't, I don't. We'll see how far we get, and then that will be what the budget is. So next I have my wish farm. This is just stuff I put down. It's not stuff that I'm actively funding, but a few good ideas of how I could get there. I'm saving up for a YNAB yearly subscription. My cousin actually recently came over to the country for a family reunion. He is 16 and so couldn't afford the ticket himself. So I went in with some of my other cousins to pay for his flight. And that was a gift to my nan, my grandmother, who lives with us in Australia. I might go into that a bit later on. But yeah, so basically that was my contribution. I had to pay it to my mum, and so she's kind of said just pay it back whenever, and so I'm going to actively work towards this. 10k in 100 days is, I guess, something I found on Pinterest, and it's this idea of contributing 10k over 100 days. Doesn't have to be consecutive, but basically if you follow the contributions, which is I think increments of $2, you will have $10,000. So seems fun. I'll give it a go and see how far I get. Eventually I do have this idea of getting a desktop computer. To be honest, I'll put money aside for this, but I currently have an iPad with a keyboard, and I do have a really old desktop computer that I play Sims on, really, for the most part. Do I need this really? Probably not. Will I save for it? Maybe. Will I then just have extra money? Sure. Anyway, so we'll see. I might remove it. I just chucked it on here because I had a fleeting thought. Anyway, this next one is smart cookie. So just putting money aside, I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I've been playing around with the idea of going back to uni or doing some other form of further education. I don't know. It's not a priority, but I thought I'd just pop this in here to start building it up. I could also look at a few things through TAFE, but I guess other things like Duolingo and Skillshare, you know, I might look into that. But I guess this is just around, I guess, my own personal development and my education. And this could also just be for particular books and things like that I'm looking into. So that is my wish farm. I'm not using this properly, but that's what it is for now. So I think that's where I'll end this part of the video, part 2. So we did part 1, that was my core non-negotiable expenses. This second part has been about my fun, splurge, kind of neither here nor there, I'll get to it if I get to it categories. And then in the next part, I will look more into my long-term savings and what I am doing in those spaces in a bit more detail. It will be a shorter video, so hopefully you can tune in for that. But again, thank you for joining me. There's been a lot of rambling. Again, I promise in the future the videos won't be so long, but I do appreciate it if you have made it to the end. Leave me a comment or ask any questions in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. I hope you have an awesome day.